Now we are going to have our first keynote session. Introducing Ms. Prachi Tiwari, our first speaker of the day. Ms. Prachi Tiwari, Engagement Director of Landor, Mumbai. Ms. Prachi has over 20 years of experience in managing and driving growth for several B2C and B2B brands. She has rolled out diverse marketing campaigns and tactics for impactful brand building and marketing across platforms including CRM, brand communications, and PR. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Prachi Tiwari with a round of applause. And this is to let you know that you can ask our speaker your questions on our Facebook page with 2 hashtags. And the hashtags are, the first one is hashtag BD Retail Congress, and the second one is hashtag Modern Retail. Please welcome Ms. Prachi Tiwari.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and a big good morning from Landor. First of all, big thanks to Shariful and his team for inviting Landor to be a part of this. And on behalf of Landor, I'm extremely grateful to be able to get a chance to share with you some of our point of view and insights about retail and how design and in-store experiences are changing and what are the kind of disruptions that are actually happening at retail. So I'm hoping by end of this conversation with you, you would have some interesting things to think about. Can you guess, for starters, what product or service category that is? Anyone? Sorry? Interiors, okay. Anybody else? It's just the morning, guys. I'm sure we can get some answers going. Anybody else wants to take a shot? Okay, so it's actually a bank, and that's the changing future of retail, not just for banks, but a lot of other brands as well. Here's another one for you. Can you guess which brand this is? Sorry? Interesting. It's actually Macy's, which is a legacy retail player in the US, and this is an example of how it's literally changing the entire customer journey and trying to face up to the disruptions that are happening because of omni-channel behavior of customers. So that, my dear friends, is really the changing face of retail, which then leads to a whole lot of substantive implications for brands and participants within the category. Customer journeys are being disruptive, business models are emerging, which are very different from what some of us have grown up with, and brand experiences are becoming increasingly multidimensional, and they transcend from one platform to the other, leading to substantive impact stories and opportunities for new brands. So question is, are we nearing the end of retail? And the answer is absolutely not, because it's really about finding ways to make retail still the cornerstone of the customer experience. So in today's discussion, I'm just going to take you through a quick journey to find out what are some of the latest trends, what are the kind of implications, therefore, those trends have on brands going forward. And the aim is to leave you with some thoughts on what can be done with respect to designing complete brand experiences. So my topic today, even though it talks about design and store experience, it's really about designing the holistic brand experience. But first, a little bit about the consumer that we're dealing with. So the shopping experience for this consumer is becoming increasingly mobile. This is a digital-first customer that we're talking to. For some retailers, mobile is already a big contributor of sales. For example, there's a brand called Jilt in the US, which is a designer fashion label. And for them, mobile traffic accounts for 50% of their sales, 50% already. And more than 30% of total global sales is being driven through mobile platforms. Approximately 71% of the consumers today are shopping online, and this is global data. And consumers are moving, as we all know, and some of us have experienced painfully so. They come to the store to check out the product, and then they go to online to actually check out the prices. And sometimes the purchase cycle actually begins and ends even on an online platform. And yes, we're dealing with an on-demand customer who's a very integral part of this instant gratification economy where they want everything now, everything yesterday. So consumers are raised on this on-demand economy, whether it's content, whether it's rides, whether it is a movie show booking platform, or it's online retail. They want the right product, the right mix of the value and the price, right then and there. And essentially, that's what's fueling expectations towards the future. And here's something else to consider. Your competition is not just stemming from the next retailer or the next brand, which probably has a portfolio similar to yours. Your competition is stemming from each and every component, each and every player of the online experience as we know it today. So a bank that offers an instant opening of its accounts to an online retailer that has literally immortalized recommendation engine and suggests more purchases to you as you're browsing through its portfolio. Every one is a competition in terms of experience. And most importantly, you're dealing with a consumer who is increasingly turning towards buying into brands that are talking sustainability, that are talking ethical consumerism, what is also known as conscious consumerism. 18 to 24-year-olds are turning to either being vegetarians or pursuing brands that are fair to animals and the society and the environment. A lot of respondents through some global research that we picked up in the course of our analysis are also willing to pay more and a premium for sustainable goods. And customers are beginning to expect ethical accreditation, so certification, which ends up adding a whole lot of value to your entire proposition. So on some of the examples that I have for you is Fairphone, which is literally touting itself as the world's first ethical mobile phone. And their entire proposition is built around how buying a mobile does not have to hurt your environment. We've also got Sir Kensington, which is a brand recently acquired in the millions by P&G in London. And essentially, this brand is all about organic foods. It is about lessening the carbon footprint as well. Another sustainable platform borrowed by a brand called Pakka Organic, where Pakka Tea is again a tea brand acquired by Unilever or P&G, one of the two, is actually talking about reducing carbon footprint from the field to the cup. And that's a huge shift for a simple tea maker. Attention span of this consumer is getting increasingly low, but at the same time, it's evolving. You're dealing with an audience which is very distracted, as we all know. Some interesting stats for you. Literally 1,500 times in a day, you end up checking your phone. And fact of the matter is that between 10 to 20 seconds is the maximum attention span a consumer has whilst he's browsing on the net or on the phone, and that's like an average. So yes, your ticket to progress amidst all of this and a distracted audience is really storytelling. It's really about creating engaging content which is going to drive consumers in. And next I have for you some key trends which are emerging in our business environment. Maybe some of these would resonate with you in terms of the problems and situations that you might be facing. So we're in a market that is increasingly being characterized by D2C brands. These are digital-born natives, they're digital-born challengers. For example, there's a brand called ColourPop, which was literally the world's first D2C online consumer cosmetic brand. Started off in 2014 and talks about wallet-friendly products. These trends are, so D2C brands and categories are making strollers to mattresses to quilts and what have you, to even glasses. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Warby Parker, yeah? Glossier is another brand which evolved from a blog. It started off as a content platform. And guess what? The founder now, to the tune of 250 million plus in sales, is actually converting this blog into an opportunity for buying products which are ethically sourced and are on a sustainable platform. Yeah? There are also new models of buying into brands. So if you thought that the only way consumers could access your brands was through retail, there are actually interesting new opportunities emerging. For example, subscription. How many of you have heard of Dollar Shave? Okay, a few of you, great. So Dollar Shave was started by a bunch of MBA graduates who decided that, guess what? When a man looks for a razor, it's not always that he finds the best quality one. So why don't we find ways to create a razor that's not only available where he is, but at the same time it has features that are not daunting or intimidating like a Gillette razor would. So they ended up creating this subscription platform, which for X dollars a month, you actually get access to shaving supplies. You've also got Ipsy, which is another brand that's doing the same thing for cosmetics. And likewise, many more like Everlane and Casper, which is into mattresses. Also, what we found was the shopping process is being redefined. So whether it's using visual search, today you can look at Snapchat, take the camera while you're on Snapchat, point it towards a product, and it will take you towards a product, take you towards a listing of that product on Amazon.com, and you can actually go ahead and buy it. You've got Instagram shopping channels, which are about to get launched, and of course, you can shop through their stories and very specific content. And that, again, has a whole lot of dynamics at play for how brands are talking about themselves. So if you thought that the only way consumer can get information about you is from an offline platform, that is changing. There's also this emergence of anti-brand. And what we call as the anti-brand are brands that are capitalizing on this question that consumers are increasingly having. Why should we pay high margins for these brands? Why should I pay $2,500 for a bag from Celine when I can get the same quality from the same factory at literally 1/10 the price? And that's a brand called Italic, which is the latest entrant launched just last month in the D2C segment. And what the founder has done, as he's basically scoured through the entire world, found the vendors and partners that the best of the brands from a Burberry and a Celine and a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton actually work with. He's got 100,000 people waiting list for products that are willing to buy. And it's a members only brand, again, subscription based. And there's also Brandless, which is another entrant. They believe in fair quality products, and for them, it's all about better doesn't have to really cost more. So what they do is build direct relationships with suppliers and customers from the start. And in the process, they eliminate a whole lot of extra costs that perhaps make up for the margin of the high-priced goods that might be sold under a branded name. And we also find a lot of tech coming in, changing the way people shop and experience products. There's artificial intelligence, for example, used for 3D models for next level of shopping and creating visual merchandise. What I have here for you is an example for a company called Pure Cycles. Pure Cycles manufactures straight shooter bikes, and essentially they discovered that when people are coming and buying into their product, they want to be able to tell the whole story. So 3D modeling actually allows them to do that. They click a bunch of pictures from every possible angle of the product, upload that into a software, which is actually baked into Apple's Safari browsing system. Google has a similar offering as well. And what it enables you to do as a consumer then is on your phone, you're able to see exactly how the bike would look. You got questions about whether the handlebar is too big or whether the tires are too big. Guess what? Because of the 3D modeling that they have used, you can actually use the picture from the app, from the phone browser, and actually juxtapose that against your gallery in the apartment to make out whether the bicycle fits or not. That is another way of telling story about your brands. And the whole aim is that you should be able to bring products alive in front of you. And it's really about educating the shopper journey a lot more. Some more examples. What you have here on the left-hand side of the screen is really examples from what Target has been trying to do. They have an app called See in Your Space, which allows people to take photographs and images of products that they'd like to buy and actually see how that fits into their homes. On the top, you have a algorithm that is helping women who are buying makeup in Target figuring out which one works best for them. On the right-hand side is what Walmart has recently introduced, which is augmented reality on shelves. Enables people and consumers who are in the aisles to compare price and product benefits and features. Personalization is becoming the norm. We all like attention. We all like being attended to. And at the core of this personalization is really data. It's data being used to drive purchase, whether it's planned or it's unplanned. You have the brand, which is immortalized recommendation for all decades to come, called Amazon, and has been doing so for the longest time. You've also got Spotify, which enables you to choose what you want to order to eat on Uber Eats, basis the mood you're in and the music you're listening to. You've also got tailored marketing campaigns. An example of that is Vidyard, which is actually a video maker. It makes B2B sales pitches for its clients. But the way it makes the pitch to you, say for example, you wanted to go to an important customer and talk to them about fall orders, it would enable you to actually personalize the entire presentation. And they themselves pitch their presentation videos to you in a personalized way. Data science is actually being now used to assist merchandising, deciding where to stock what, where to be available, most importantly, depending on geo-targeted exercises that are done to find out where your consumers are. So for Warby Parker, which is a brand I'm sure some of you are familiar with, into selling classes online, started again by a bunch of students, when they had to open their first store. Now for them, store opening was just another step in their journey to higher customer acquisition. And when they decided to open a store, it wasn't about which is the mall that is giving me the highest footfall, which is a high street location that's going to give me footfall. They actually went back to their data accumulated over the past 4 years of their brand's existence to figure out who's buying what, where, at what frequency, what kind of frames, what kind of pain points and concerns do they have. Basis that, they design not just the store location, but also the experience inside it. That's the level of personalization that you can get to. And something that I will spend a little more time here, given the makeup of the audience here, it's all about enhanced environments. It's about brands rethinking ways to drive new benchmarks when it comes to experiences inside the store. So an environment really is something that you create as an immersive, as an interactive experience inside the store that provides certain amount of functional, emotional, and social value to your consumer. So what it really helps you do, like an Amazon Go did with its cashless stores, is it keeps the brand proposition at the core, which is all about simplicity in this case for Amazon, and it creates a multi-sensory experience. It's also about combining very uniquely human and digital interventions. So what you see on the right-hand side of the screen is what North Face is trying to do with its jackets. So what they have is a personal stylist literally on board, and yes, it's AI powered, but at the same time, should you get to a North Face store, and if your data has been fed into that store, you're a frequent customer, they would know about you. So all your recommendations that you have got from the online platform would feed into your offline experience at the store as well. Now that's another way in which a brand can enhance the experience inside the environment. But the question is, why do brands need to do this? Why do they need to create these enhanced environments versus just creating another store? So the answer to that lies in the fact that creating an enhanced environment or a store experience, which is at another level, that enables personalization, is all about building deeper experiences. Yeah? You're stimulating ideal experiences of the product or service in a manner that will enable the customer to derive value from it. It's about integrating the best parts of your online world with the physical. And it's really about bringing the imaginary to life. It's about elevating perception. It's about improving equity and saliency of the brand as well. And it's really when you're sitting there and thinking about mulling over what's really important for my brand's experience inside the store, retail or otherwise, you've got to take into account two things: the user needs, and at the same time look at the business goals or the objectives that you might have. Our approach really is that every time you design an enhanced environment or a store experience, you've got to be able to take into consideration both sides of the coin. And as brand custodians, we must safeguard interests of the users and of the business. What this really means is to look at a few key things. So you look at what the user needs are when it comes to an enhanced environment or an in-store experience. There are certain visceral requirements. Is there a wow factor? Is there some sort of delight that the customer can derive from that experience? You look at how interactive can this entire engagement be made. Is it purposeful enough? Does it give an emotional stake to the consumer? Does it emotionally connect with them? Does it make them, maybe it gives them a social currency. So there are some stores like a Maghrabi, a brand experience, a brand that we actually worked with and for whom we actually created a brand experience in Dubai. It's a maker of luxury and lifestyle glassware. And therein, when you're there testing for which frame suits you best, you immediately have an option of uploading that on your Facebook page. Not through your phone, but through special iPads which are provided in the store. Now that is about giving people social currency and validation immediately from the confines of a physical store. You also look at how personalized the experience is. Is it empathetic enough? Is it something that's relevant to the person who's walking in versus just being a process that we're probably keen on following? And most importantly, customers today are looking for convenience, no matter what the product, no matter what the service. And from a business perspective, when you're designing your in-store experience, it's about looking at, are we able to do things that will drive impulse purchases, right? The kinds that Sephora does, which is a makeup retailer, or a Marks & Spencer, or even a Big Bazaar, stocks up in most of its outlets across India, you'll have the key products, which are what your daily essentials, stocked right next to the cash counter. And that's a way of prompting impulse and unplanned purchases. Are we getting meaningful data from the store experience? Later, I will share with you an example of a brand that uses data from the time the customer walks in to help them select the clothes that they can actually end up trying. And our customers and people who are engaged with the brand actually becoming evangelists for it. Business Goal is also about making sure that the customized solutions that we provide to consumers within the store and around it are driving loyalty. And most importantly, does it improve conversion rates and repeat transactions? So I'm just going to play a quick video of a brand called Rebecca Minkoff, which is at the cutting edge. It started off as a D2C brand, and then it got into stores. And what you'll see here is how they've managed to rethink and reshape the complete store environment.
Tech and fashion don't always mix. Wearables are ugly, and people still want to try things on in a store. But Rebecca Minkoff has built a tech-fueled fashion line that redefines all of this. Bracelets that charge your phone, dresses with a 3D print, and a boutique that changes the way people shop. And it starts with these mirrors.
First thing I'd do is I'd ask you if you want something to drink. So we'll go over here to Sip, and what we do is we have a menu option. So it could be water, sparkling water, green tea, coffee, espresso, or even bubbly.
I don't see a fine scotch on there.
We'll have to add that just for you.
Thank you. You specifically have a software background, and I think a lot of people would think that that doesn't really translate into fashion. But what was the lessons that you brought from software that you found a really surprising application for here?
Kind of every step of the way, I took this kind of tech-first initiative. You know, who's the end user, right? What does the funnel look like? So it's kind of been this tech-focused way to building a fashion company, and it was very different. And so running a company with those thoughts in mind, just add a different mentality that I think gives us kind of an X factor.
And in partnership with eBay, which built the technology, they use this X factor to guide me through the store. I ordered a green tea, which was delivered to me, and some items to, well, probably not to try on, but I got a text when they were ready in my dressing room. We picked up a jacket along the way to keep the system on its toes.
We're going to come in, and as you just saw, it just popped up on the screen.
Wow, that was really fast. It instantly knew what was in the room.
Yeah, so one of the things we'll do here is we'll come back here. Clearly we have a small here, but let's say the small didn't fit, right? And we wanted, you know, an extra small. And so we're going to say, bring this to my room. It's kind of like with Uber, right? So you see that.
Exactly like with Uber.
So now you know who your store associate is. And so she's going to be there in a minute. So you now don't need to leave half naked. You don't need to go. You don't need to go finding out who works here, who's my stylist, right? You get to stay here.
Because the only thing worse than asking if somebody works here is asking if somebody works here while you're
half naked. Exactly. The other thing we looked at was lighting. You might want
Soho After Dark.
Soho After Dark lighting. If you want something that's more sunny, you have Brooklyn Morning, Afternoon on the High Line, or the Hudson River Sunset. Now you can get some confidence around what it might look like in your end use case. Again, a software term, but what's the end use case?
And what does Rebecca Minkoff get? A valuable data record of everything her customers like and what they're pairing it with. And that is getting her attention from everyone. Do you expect that your competitors, if you think of them as competitors, are coming in here and seeing these things and starting to build them for themselves?
We know our competitors are coming in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it is going to be a space race of fitting rooms.
It'll be a space race, but the beautiful part is our relationship with eBay is that it's a long-term contract, and we're always first in. So people can come, they can see it, they can feel it, and they're going to always get, you know, version 1 while we're at 1.2.
There's also a challenge here as a designer because you want to be inventing and, you know, you want to be thinking in ways that other people aren't. But the temptation, once you have a lot of data, may be to just serve what the data says. That if people like this kind of thing, just make this kind of thing.
Right.
So you, at some point, have to say, you know what, screw the data.
I think you're looking at the data, but you always have to keep innovating. I think it's taking this data, solving a problem with it, and then what is the next thing that the customer doesn't know that they want?
Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to move to the next one, which is really about what Samsung did. It's an interesting example of interactive accessories within the retail store.
Many global leading retail brands are setting up new and exciting digital technologies in their stores to promote their products and create an exciting customer experience. Samsung Electronics is working with many leading brands to promote this new digital technologies in its retail stores. And here in Korea, we see this at the Beanpole shop, which is one of Korea's leading retail brands. In-store video wall conveys Beanpole's brand identity in an immersive way. In front of the real-size display, customers can take photos with Beanpole's model by kinetic control. These photos are printed in the store and then handed to customers as a giveaway. For the season's special items, when the customer picks up the interactive hanger, the product information is displayed through our display solution linked through RFID technology.
I'm going to move to the next one. Here's another example, that image of a bank that I shared with you right at the beginning. This is actually a bank called Umpqua Bank from Australia. And what they decided to do was rewrite the story of a bank and make it more than just a transactional entity. And all of this was done with a view to drive people in, because increasingly millennials and Generation X were not really coming back to the bank for anything other than basic transactions. So how do you drive engagement in that scenario? So what they did was they also created a catalyst wall, which you see on the left-hand side. They actually have staff dressed as hotel concierge. They also have an app, which is the Best Financial Friend, or BFF, which enables you, again, to get a very human plus digital experience on it at any point in time with respect to any banking requirement. So the tech intervention largely that the bank did in terms of creating its retail experience was interactive displays, there was a mobile concierge, app platform, and a completely digitized customer journey. Also Spruce. Spruce is really nothing but a barber shop on the streets of Denver in US. And the amazing thing that they have done is recognize that when people come for a shave or a haircut, there's a lot of conversation that goes on. And how can they make that entire experience more personalized? So what they did was, they actually have had certain tech interventions in place. So from your Wi-Fi sensors to app-based information, all of that relays information about you as you're walking in for your appointment inside the store. So the stylist already knows who you are, what is your requirement, and maybe you've had some previous pain points or concerns. The stylist is aware of that too. So she can recommend what needs to be done. So this was really about them using chatbots, beacons, motion sensing cameras, and of course big data, but in a very simplified way that would enable them to truly become the Internet of Things. So the barbershop is so connected to customers, the stylists know everything about you before you walk into it. And a few other cases, quickly, here's something that we worked on with Nike. Another example of Nykaa, which is one of the most successful online aggregators for makeup and cosmetics for women in India. And what they did was they started off as an online brand, and for a major chunk of the last 6 years, that's what they had been. What they then did was use data from their online experiences to curate a special interface and an interaction with an offline store. So the best of the trends, the best of what customers are buying and why gets showcased in these select Nykaa on-trend stores, which are located in very high throughput, high footfall, high street locations. So this is another example of leveraging this whole omni-channel trend. So I'm just going to leave you with a few thoughts on what does this really mean for retailers and brands very quickly. It is about designing the experience around the customer. It is about knowing that technology is means to an end. Don't let technology become the key deliverable. It's not about having 10 best apps and interfaces. Don't get submerged with data. Key is to know what matters to your business goals. At what point of time you're aiding consumer to move throughout the brand funnel, from acquisition to engagement. And see the physical store as a way of moving beyond transactional selling and connecting and creating experiences. It's also about knowing that content is key to unlock future consideration, trials and engagement, and streamlining an increasingly complicated and non-linear customer journey. Yeah? Very quickly, I'm just going to leave you with also a few information points about Landor. We started about 76 years back as the first branding agency, literally. Started on a boat in California, and with a mix of creative and strategic professionals. Just to give you an idea of how we can help you, we've got 26 offices in 19 countries. 4 key things that you need to remember about Landor is that we help you create and inspire a certain amount of passion. We work with the brands, not for them. And we're an ideas company. We're not just a design agency. And at the same time, we make strategy very tangible. Just a quick sense of some of the brands that we worked with. And this is our experience closer home in India and Sri Lanka. Godrej Nature's Basket, I don't know if you've heard of them, but recently we have rebranded them. They were working on a back of transformation project with BCG. And very quickly, for us, at any point of time, no matter what level your brand is, what is your marketing spend, it's really at the confluence of strategy, culture, and experience design that you can truly deliver brand experiences that are substantive and enduring results. So whether it's rethinking organizations, changing behavior, and aligning people, which is where strategy and culture come together, whether it's experience design and strategy, which is really about finding new opportunities, rapidly iterating and making things real, or where culture interfaces with experience design, which is guiding action and enhancing every experience at every touch point. So for us, brand is more than just a marketing tool. Brand is really a platform for action, and that's how we like to be able to work with our clients, where we believe that brand becomes a strategic asset. And we have proprietary tools to bring alive your brand as well, starting from a very in-depth insight process, which goes into developing unique ideas of what the brand may stand for, and then creating a compelling 360 story around it, which is all about offline and online experiences. Yeah? And that's us, and thank you.